Happy Saturday, Risers. Hope you all are safe and well. Sagar and I are back with some of our favorite moments from our interviews this week. We learned about the killing of Ahmaud Arbery horribly after this viral video from February 23rd showed Ahmaud, an African-American, jogging through his neighborhood in Brunswick, Georgia. There he was chased by two white men and brutally shot and killed. We had great friend of the show, Nina Turner, on to share her perspective on that tragedy. Here's what she had to say.
No American should be comfortable with this. It is something that the Black community has faced for generations, and it really hasn't gotten better in the 21st century. This is 2020, and Mr. Arbery could not jog down the street. They said they thought he was a suspect. That is the excuse that a whole bunch of white racists use, that Black people are suspect. Our very existence is suspect. And yes, that could have been my son. My son is a millennial. And as both of you know, my son is in law enforcement. And so this breaks my heart in ways that are hard to hold the emotions back. And I can only imagine how his parents feel. I believe that his birthday is tomorrow. He was going to be 26 years old. And so jogging while Black, breathing while Black, just existing while Black. And so we're going to continue to get these kind of reminders until we face the facts that racism on the systemic side and also on the individual side, anti-Blackness too, because those are two different but equal things. Anti-Blackness and racism exist in this country, and there needs to be some truth and reconciliation. The fact that that father and son felt very comfortable, they didn't flinch to shoot this young man is a stain on this country.
Just a really heartfelt moment there with Nina. You know, it's just, I mean, I'm glad we could at least give the update that those two men have been taken into custody and charged with murder, but that doesn't make up for
no. I mean,
family.
he's never coming back. There is no justice that can be done there, and there are still so many questions about the way that this investigation went down or didn't go down.
Right.
I mean, if this video hadn't emerged, this story would have ended with those two men having gotten off scot-free. And look, alleged and all of that, and they'll face trial, right? They'll have their chance to say their side of the story, but you can watch the video for yourself and make your own judgments about exactly what occurred there. Horrifying.
All right. How did meat processing plants become coronavirus hotspots? The Iowa Congressional Candidate J.D. Scholten, he revealed how monopolies in the industry are failing their workers and local farmers. Let's take a listen.
When you have only 50 plants, beef plants, that control 98% of the meat that gets produced here in the U.S., it's such a small concentration. There's not much resiliency. There's not much flexibility or adaptability, and so there's a spotlight right now on our food systems. And if we're going to be a secure nation, we have to be a food secure nation. And so coming out of this, I'm hoping that we realize that we need change. And farmers, the other side of this that I don't think a lot of people are realizing. Farmers who have actually been able to get their product to the market, because there's so many farmers right now that had to euthanize their livestock, which is just awful. But the farmers who have been able to make it to market, they're not getting a very fair price. And so farmers are just really getting squeezed on this too. So it's something where both the workers and the farmers are getting screwed.
I always really like talking with Jamie about rural and agricultural issues because nobody really talks about it the way that he does, and that understanding of that monopoly. I mean, the fact that farmers have to euthanize their livestock, it shows that in many cases they don't own their own livestock, and that so many people are just at the whims of these multi-billion-dollar agricultural holding companies, which just can control everything that we put into our bodies. So it's a great spotlight, especially at this time of the meat processing plants and all that.
Yeah, I mean, he exposes, and JD is one of, in my view, the best voices within the Democratic Party, one of really only a few voices in the Democratic Party who really understands ag issues, really understands rural America, speaks out, especially on monopoly and antitrust. For years now, he's been doing this. He's really taught me a lot, honestly, about how important this is in rural America as well. And what he's speaking to is a fragility. When you have all your eggs in this one basket, Then when you have a couple of meat processing plants go down, you're hosed. You're faced with food shortages. Farmers are having to euthanize their livestock. I mean, the whole thing crumbles because you are so dependent on these few huge, massive players. And that's one thing that we have really seen right now during this crisis. Meanwhile, more than 33 million Americans have applied for unemployment in 7 weeks, a tally that signals what may be the worst unemployment rate ever seen, certainly since the Great Depression. We spoke to entrepreneur and Shark Tank investor Mark Cuban, who explained why the government needs to implement a federal jobs program now. Let's take a listen.
We need to take action. We've never been in a position where we've lost this many jobs or had this many unemployed people and have it happen so quickly. And so we've got to respond. What's different, I think what may be confusing people, in the past we've tried to solve problems with trickle-down economics, creating liquidity, and that's all good. You need to make sure that there's enough cash and liquidity in the system for businesses to borrow, et cetera. But in this particular case, what we're going to be missing is consumer demand. And we've got to get people in jobs, even if we have to manufacture them, preferably productive jobs, so that we can create consumer demand, and that allows businesses, small and large, to stay open. And then that productivity will bring the economy back.
I really enjoyed Mark's perspective there because he was one of the few who actually would identify that it's a bottom-up crisis, not a top-down one. That's what Wall Street in 2008 was top-down. You lose liquidity, the banking system, everything freezes up, companies can't hire and have to fire. This is different, whereas people are literally not spending money. The very inputs into the economy itself are shut down, which means the only way to fix that is to give people money, is to inject liquidity into the hands of the consumers and not the producers themselves. I'm not saying they don't deserve some as well, but any of the capital that goes to them should all be engineered for a flow down to the average worker themselves so that they can continue to keep spending money, which is why that we need jobs programs.
Yeah.
We need the largest jobs program in American history, but we just don't have enough.
I'm shocked this hasn't been more of a conversation. It's something we've been saying here from early days that this was
for the last
federal
2 months.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, we've been saying the federal government's going to need to step in here with the jobs program. I mean, I dissent from Mark in that I think we need a more fundamental rethink of the economy rather than just let's get out there and go shopping some more, right?
Yeah, this is a start.
Let's gin up our consumerism. Yeah. But I ultimately agree with the approach, which is really what matters. It's kind of funny he in the interview describes himself as a libertarian.
He's like, I'm a libertarian at heart, which made me cringe so hard. I didn't want to call him out on it.
Yeah, but. No, I mean, look, you can call yourself whatever you want, but I would say if you're willing to support federal jobs guarantee, fine. You're probably dissenting from much of the libertarian thought within
you want a federal jobs program at this moment? Fine by me.
Absolutely. All right, that does it for us. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. We're going to be back later today with our recurring segment breaking down the week that was in media screw-ups.
That's right. And please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos. And also don't forget to like and share as well. Tomorrow we're going to be back for another round of #RisingQs. See you guys then.